Subhanallah. I got a lot of benefit from this myself. I hope also you got a lot of benefit. MashaAllah. The author says voluntary prayers. So now we're done talking about the prayer times. And before we move on to talk about the integrals of the prayer, we're going to talk about voluntary prayers. And the author says there are 19 optional rak'ats that follow the obligatory prayers. How many did Abu Shuja' say? He said 17. So that means we mentioned what Abu Shuja' said, 17, and there's two more. Something that he didn't mention, we'll mention it inshallah. And these optional rak'ats that follow the obligatory prayers, they're called rawatib. Rawatib. Yani here. Rawatib. Including witr. So witr is one of the rawatib. But some said it's not one of the rawatib. So if it's not one of the rawatib, then we have 18 optional rak'ats that follow the obligatory prayers. But we're going to say 19, including witr, since it cannot be prayed before Isha. You can't pray witr before you pray Isha. So it follows the obligatory prayer. These 19 are not to be prayed in congregation except witr in Ramadan. Except witr in Ramadan. So these 19 optional rak'ats, you pray them on your own. Congregation is not sanctioned for them. That means not recommended for them. Except witr in Ramadan. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about those sunnah prayers that go along with the obligatory prayers. So like it's Dhuhr time, you want to pray 2 rak'ats before Dhuhr, 2 rak'ats after Dhuhr. These sunnah prayers, you don't pray them in Jama'ah. And usually the Muslims don't. So you're going to see after the Imam calls or after the Mu'adhin calls the Adhan, and then the Muslims are just waiting to pray. Everybody's just praying their own prayer, whoever wants to pray. 2 rak'ats, someone here, someone there, not in Jama'ah. And then they're still waiting. Someone might stand up and do 2 more. Some people might sit down and wait. And then you pray Dhuhr, for example, in congregation. And then after that, people stand up and do their own sunnah prayers. That's the correct way. So these are not to be prayed in congregation, except witr prayer in Ramadan. Except witr prayer in Ramadan. Even if not after Taraweeh. So Taraweeh, that's 20 rak'ats in Ramadan after Isha. And then, if you want, you pray one more, which is the witr. Witr is 1 rak'ah, at least. Witr is 1 rak'at, at least. So, if it's not Ramadan, then even your witr prayer, that 1 rak'at, for example, that you want to pray after Isha, you don't pray it in Jama'ah. And don't leave this one out. It's only 1 rak'ah, and I remind myself. Very emphasized sunnah prayer, and it's only a single rak'ah. So witr prayer in Ramadan is sanctioned for congregation, even if it's not after Taraweeh. So usually in Ramadan, after Isha, you're going to pray the Taraweeh prayers. And then you're going to pray after that 1 rak'ah. And all of that's going to be in congregation. That Taraweeh and that 1 rak'ah, all of that's going to be in congregation. If you just prayed that 1 rak'ah in Ramadan without Taraweeh, it's still recommended to do it in congregation. Some said that 10 are emphasized, but there are 11 because we're counting witr. And 6 are not emphasized. So it means, okay, you have your 5 obligatory prayers. Who can tell me, by the way, how many rak'ats are the 5 obligatory prayers in total every day? Easy answer there. 5, 4, 3, 17. Correct. Okay. So you have 17 obligatory rak'ats you're going to do in a day. And some said you also have 17 optional rak'ats you want to do in that day. But we're going to go by the saying of 19. Okay. And I remind myself too, if you never did all 19 in one day, then definitely do it. If you don't have makeup prayers that you have to make up immediately, if you have makeup prayers that you have to make up immediately, do them. Don't get busy with sunnah. But if you're all caught up and you haven't done 17 optional rakats or 19 optional rakats, if you want to go by the saying of 17, fine. You never did the 17? Subhanallah. What are you waiting for? Can't let all this. Don't want to just hear this information and that's all. Why are you hearing it for? So you can practice it. Or 19, at least once in your life. What did Imam Ahmed say? Imam Ahmed said, I never heard any hadith without practicing it at least once. And Ahmed did that to the extent that he learned a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ got the cupping done. When you extract the bad blood, he got the cupping done, and then he paid the one who did it. I don't remember how much, says in the hadith. So Ahmed did that so that he could practice the hadith. So, okay, inshallah, you have at least once in your life done all those optional rakats in a day. And maybe one day you want to do some and not all. So which ones should you do? Do the emphasized one out of these, the emphasized ones out of these 19. Some of them are more emphatic than others, so that if you didn't want to do all of them, there's at least some of them you shouldn't miss if you can. Some said 10 of them are emphasized, but there are 11, because we're counting witr. And 6 of them are not emphasized. So what are these emphasized ones? 2 emphatic rak'ats precede Fajr. So that's emphasized one. 2 precede Fajr, dawn prayer. As Muslim narrated, rak'at al-Fajr khayrun min ad-dunya wa ma fiha. 2 rak'ats before Fajr are better than the world and whatever is in it. Better than everything in the world. Subhanallah. So then you don't want to miss those. 2 of 4 that precede Dhuhr are emphatic. So there are 4 before Dhuhr and 2 of them are emphatic. So if it's Dhuhr time and you don't want to do 4 before Dhuhr, then at least do 2 before Dhuhr because 2 are emphatic. And 2 of 4 follow it emphatically. So you finish Dhuhr, you don't want to do 4 after Dhuhr, then do at least 2 because they're emphatic. The 4 of Dhuhr are valid with 1 salam. Subhanallah. I remember once a sister asked me, she said, in my masjid, some people pray 4 rak'ats before Dhuhr with 1 salam. Is it valid? And I didn't remember that I had learned that. I did learn it and I forgot completely. Bil marrah. But alhamdulillah, Allah protected me from speaking without knowledge. So I don't know what I told her, but I didn't say an answer for myself, alhamdulillah. And then I reviewed some of the knowledge that I took, and I found that I had even taken that. That's why you need to take notes. Don't think you're not going to forget what you take. You're probably going to forget what you take unless you have some of it or a lot of it, unless you have a photographic memory. And review so that you can refresh yourself. The 6 are narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. Thus, Abu Shuja' counted them as 17. Yani. Abu Shuja' said there's 17, we're saying there's 19, which means we're adding 2 that Abu Shuja' didn't mention. Where are those 2? Abu Shuja' said 4 before Dhuhr, 4 before Dhuhr, and 2 after. Those are 6. So these 6 are narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. There's a hadith about 6 associated sunnah prayers with Dhuhr. And therefore, Abu Shuja' mentioned just 6 rawatibs for Dhuhr. However, there is an authentic hadith narrated by Abu Dawood and Nasa'i and At-Tirmidhi. من حافظ على 4 ركعات قبل الظهر و4 بعدها حرمه الله على النار. Anyone who consistently prayed 4 rak'ats before Zuhr and 4 afterwards, Allah will make him forbidden for hell. Then that means there's 8 that go with Zuhr, not just 6. But if you want to take the saying of Abu Shuja', do 17 then. 4 precede Asr. None of them are emphatic. So that's why it doesn't say 4 emphatic rak'ats, like the way it says here. 2 emphatic rak'ats precede Fajr. 2 of 4 that precede Dhuhr are emphatic. And 2 of 4 follow it emphatically. 4 precede Asr, and they're not emphatic. So if you really didn't want to pray associated prayers at Asr time, you just wanted to pray the Asr, then they're not emphatic, so missing them is not as unfortunate as missing others. 4 precede Asr because Ibn Hibban narrated, Rahim Allahum ra'an salla qabla al-asri arba'a. God have mercy on anyone who prayed 4 before Asr. That's 2 with a salam and then 2 with a salam. 2 emphatic rak'ats follow Maghrib, as narrated by Muslim. And Muslim also narrated that the Prophet ﷺ used to pray 3 rak'ats after Isha. That's 2 plus witr. And 2 are emphatic. So that's not witr. But the odd prayer, witr, is also emphatic. Its minimum is 1 rak'at, as opposed to the Hanafis who pray it as 3. Witr prayer in the Hanafi school is 3 rak'ats, like Maghrib is 3 rak'ats. And witr prayer is better to pray in 3 rak'ats. That means pray 2, say salam, and then pray 1. And its maximum is 11 or 13, depending on the narration you take. Its time starts by finishing Isha prayer. The time of witr starts by finishing Isha prayer. You can't pray witr before Isha, it won't be valid. And it remains until the true dawn. And witr prayer should be the last prayer you pray. So if you know about yourself, you're not going to get up in the night to pray. Pray witr before you go to sleep. Any questions so far? Don't forget, you can make up these also. So if you did want to pray 17 or 19 for the whole day, but you couldn't fit them in at their times, you can still make them up too. Because you might get busy at some point in the day so that you couldn't fit those sunnah prayers in, but you didn't want to miss them. So then make them up later, inshallah. There are 3 other prayers emphatically recommended. Emphatically recommended. These other sunnah prayers that we're about to mention now, they are recommended. They are emphatic also, yani. What makes them emphatic? They're emphatic because they're independent of the 5 obligatory prayers. They are independent, so that means they're not rawatib. These sunnah prayers we're about to mention are not rawatib. Sunnah prayers that aren't rawatib. So they're independent of the 5 obligatory prayers. That in itself makes them emphatic. Well, got to give me a chance. And because the Prophet ﷺ was keen to perform them whether traveling or residing. These 3 sunnah prayers we're about to mention. The Prophet ﷺ, he never left them out, whether traveling or residing. So that makes them emphatic also. What are they? The first one is the night prayer, Qiyam al-Layl, performed 2 by 2 in the depth of the night. It is the best prayer after the obligatory prayer. Yani, when we say this is the best prayer after the obligatory prayer, that statement, it complies with a hadith. complies with the hadith that says that the best prayer after the obligatory prayer is the night prayer. But there's still some sunnah prayers that, yani, let me say, I'll leave some detail for you when you get to book Tuhfatul Tullab. Inshallah, if Allah enables us, we'll go over it. Then we'll see some more details here. Sometimes you can say something is the best and it doesn't mean the very, very best. Best could be a rank that's shared. And night prayer is recommended even without sleeping after Isha. But praying after waking up is definitely called tahajjud. There's what you asked me about before I got the chance to mention it for you, Habibi. Praying after waking up in the night is definitely called tahajjud. Allah said, and this is Surah Al-Isra, ayah 79, وَمِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَتَهَجَّدْ بِهِ نَافِلَةً لَكَ. During the night, pray after sleeping as a bonus for you, O Muhammad. So there's an ayah in the Quran about this prayer. And night is from sunset to dawn, yani from Maghrib till Fajr. So when dividing the night in half, the second half is better, unless one knows that he will not wake up until after dawn. Then praying before sleep is better, due to God's word, وَبِالْأَسْحَارِ هُمْ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ. That means, and shortly before dawn, they seek forgiveness. So if you wanted to divide your night in half, so that you could sleep for one half and pray for one half, how should you do it? Should you sleep the first half and pray the second half, or should you pray the first half and sleep the second half? The better way is to sleep the first half and then wake up and then pray the second half. And when dividing the night into thirds, then the middle third is best. So that means, if you want to do it this way, sleep for the first third of the night, get up and pray for the second third of the night, and then go back to sleep for the last third of the night. But last third of the night, that's when the angel comes down. Last third of the night is when the angel comes down, when the dua is accepted. Don't forget to make dua at that time. And I remind myself, even if you just wake up and you didn't even get out of the bed and it's the last third of the night, make dua. Try not to forget. This dua is answered. I don't remember a dua that I made at that time that didn't get answered. Maybe there was one, maybe. And then that one, if that was true, that I made dua at that time and didn't get what I asked for, turned out better for me. He said it's mentioned that the best of the sunnah prayers are better prayed in his home. Are the rawatib prayers better prayed in the masjid during their time and made up at home later? Okay. So you said it's better. It's mentioned that the best of the sunnah prayers are better prayed in one's home. What I know is that not the best of the sunnah prayers, unless you mean something by that. All the sunnah prayers, any sunnah prayers, better to pray at home. That's for the man and the woman. For the woman, it's better for her to pray at home, even obligatory prayers. Her obligatory prayer at home is more rewardable than her obligatory prayer in the masjid, but that doesn't mean she shouldn't go to the masjid. And a man's obligatory prayer in the masjid is better than his obligatory prayer at home, but his sunnah prayers at home are better than his sunnah prayers in the masjid. You said, are the rawatib prayers better prayed in the masjid? No, better prayed at home. And the best night prayer, according to Al-Rawdah by An-Nawawi, is David's prayer, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Subhanallah. So David has a prayer that's the best prayer, and he has a fasting that's the best fasting. Subhanallah. Prophet David was very worshipful. All the prophets were, of course, but yani, it's mentioned about him that one of his specialties was he had very high stamina for worship. High stamina for worship. That means he can keep worshiping without stopping for a long, long time. The best night prayer, according to what's in Ar-Rawdah by An-Nawawi, is David's prayer, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, dividing the night into six. So dividing the night into six parts, sleeping for half, and then praying a third, and then sleeping for the last six. So you can see here, if you want to do David's way, which is the best, sleep half the night, get up and pray for the fourth and fifth sixths of the night. Half the night is 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. Yani, talk about dividing the night into six parts. So dividing the night into six. So what's half of six? 3. So that if this is half, this is 3. This whole block is 3 because it's half of 6. Then this second part here, this red and white, that's going to be 3 also. So sleep for those first 3 segments, which is half the night. Then get up. You have 3 more divisions of the night left. Pray for the fourth and fifth divisions of the night, and then sleep for the last sixth of the night. Then you get up and pray Fajr. If one prays at the end of the night, he prays Witr when he fears dawn. When he fears dawn, that means you're just praying at night. Praying, let's say you're praying all night, praying all night, praying all night. Rakat after rakat, salam after salam. And Fajr soon, you're not sure how soon, but now became a concern. So once you're now concerned about Fajr coming in, now it's time for you to pray Witr since you've been praying all night. And also, if you never prayed all night, that means you didn't sleep that night. All you did that night was pray. If you didn't do that one time in your life, do it inshallah. At least one time. Maybe that night is the night that you're going to see on Judgment Day was the night that made you enter paradise without torture. Ameen wa fiq. It was said that when the angels of this sky, when the angels of the sky look down at the earth, if there's someone praying in the night, then they see when they look down at the earth as if the people of the earth, what they see when they look up and see stars. You know how when at nighttime, if you look up into the night, you see stars, like a light, a dot of light here, and a dot of light there, and a dot of light there. It was said that if some people are praying at night and the angels are in the sky, when they look down at the earth, it's like they see the stars. Like there's a dot of light here, that's a person in his house praying at night. And a dot of light here, somebody's praying at night. The second of those 3 emphatic sunnah prayers that are not associated with the obligatory prayers is duha prayer. Duha means morning light. It is at least 2 rakats, but better to be 4, whether 2 pairs or 4 altogether. So you want to pray duha, you can pray 2 and then salam, and that's it, and then go about your business. Or you can pray 2 with a salam, and then 2 with a salam, and then go about your business. Or you can pray 4 straight with 1 salam. I suggest you do both of those. Pray 2 and then salam, and 2 and then salam one day, for example. And pray 4 with 1 salam one day, for example. Yeah, that's what I would do. That's why I suggested for you. The best, according to An-Nawawi in the explanation of Al-Muhadhab, is 8 rakats for duha, which can be in the form of 4 pairs or a pair of 4. 4 pairs or a pair of 4. What does 4 pairs mean? That means 2 with a salam, then 2 with a salam, then 2 with a salam, then 2 with a salam. Every time you stand up for another 2, you make the intention of duha. Or you could pray a pair of four. That means you pray four with a salam, and then you pray four with a salam. According to Al-Rafi'i and Al-Muharrar and in Ash-Sharh al-Saghir and in Ash-Sharh al-Kabir, Al-Rafi'i logs about Al-Ruyani, he's one of the mujtahids in the madhab, that duha is 12 rak'ats. That means you can do four more. That means 3 fours, 3 4 rakat prayers, 3 4 rakat prayers. And then the last of these 3 sunnah prayers that are emphatic because they're independent of the 5 obligatory prayers and because the Prophet ﷺ never left them out, is Ramadan prayers. Qiyam Ramadan. Ramadan prayers are especially emphatic each night of Ramadan, of course. Here, Ramadan prayers are especially emphatic each night. Don't you know, brothers and sisters, somebody's going to say one day, or there's a type of person who would see this statement and he would say, Ramadan prayers are especially emphatic each night. So then he's going to come to you and say, does this mean each night of Ramadan? Then if I'm the one who's being asked this question, I'm going to feel a tightness in my heart, and then I'm going to have to be patient and then just give the person a very easy answer instead of being upset. And say, no, it's just for Ramadan. Because that's why it's called Ramadan prayers. So Ramadan prayers are especially emphatic each night, also in the form of unlimited pairs of rak'ats. Unlimited pairs of rak'ats. Pairs means 2 by 2. And the least of the Ramadan prayers is a pair. Yani 2 rak'ats. Best prayed in congregation. But you can still pray them alone. And praying 4 with 1 salam is invalid because it wasn't reported. Unlike the Sunnat of Dhuhr. Sunnat of Dhuhr, you can pray 4 with 1 salam. And Duha, you can pray 4 with 1 salam. But Ramadan night prayers, you don't pray 4 with 1 salam. It's not valid. With every pair, one intends Ramadan prayers. Yani Qiyam Ramadan, or Ramadan prayers. Meaning, he stands up when he says Allahu Akbar in his heart, he intends to pray Ramadan prayers. Then he says the salam after 2, and he stands up, and then in his heart he says again Ramadan prayers, and he prays 2, then he stands up and he says in his heart Ramadan prayers, and like that. And how many? Unlimited. Qiyam Ramadan is unlimited pairs of rak'ats. That means as many as you want. And your intention will be Ramadan prayers, or your intention could be Taraweeh. Although this name is innovated, the name Taraweeh, the name is innovated, says our Sheikh. Some scholars, like our Sheikh, said Taraweeh in particular is only valid as 20 rak'ats with 10 salams. This means if your intention is to pray Taraweeh, then if you follow this saying, you need to pray 20 rak'ats. So that means you're going to pray 2 with salam, then 2 with salam, then 2 with salam, and you do that until you complete 20 rak'ats. And every time you stand up for 2, you make the intention of Taraweeh. And this word, a lot of Muslims, non-Arab Muslims, don't say it well. They say Tarari or something, Tawari, or all kinds of, I don't know even how they say it. So it's Taraweeh, Taraweeh. As if people say, yeah, I want to pray Tarari prayer. I have no idea what they're saying. I know what they mean, but I don't know what they're saying. It was named as such. It was named Taraweeh because the Meccans took 5 tawaf breaks. istiraha. So Taraweeh, as if to say the prayer with breaks. The prayer with breaks in between. The Meccans used to take 5 tawaf breaks. That means they would pray 2. How many they want to pray total? 20. If they took 5 tawaf breaks, how do you divide 5 into 20? By 4. 5 times 4 is 20. So that means that they prayed 2 with a salam, and then 2 with a salam. So that's 4. And then they would make tawaf. That's 7 laps around the Kaaba. That's a break from the 4, from the praying. And then they would pray 2, and then they would pray 2, and then they would make tawaf. And then they would pray 2, and then they would pray 2, and then they would make tawaf. So they took 5 tawaf breaks between every 4 rakats. So that's how this prayer got the name Tarawih, because it has breaks in it. Therefore, whoever intends Tarawih should not pray more or less than 20 rakats. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Allah knows best. We'll stop there. Any question? You said, what's the difference between rawatib and nawafil? Nawafil means voluntary, so it's broader. Rawatib are particular voluntary prayers, the ones that are associated with or related to the obligatory prayers. Their time, the time of the rawatib prayers is the time of the obligatory prayer that they're associated with. So if you wanted to pray the 2 rakats of Fajr, that means you need to wait for Fajr time to start. And then you pray the 2 rakats of Fajr, and then you'll pray Fajr. If you want to pray the sunnats of Dhuhr, you need to wait for Dhuhr to come in, then start doing its sunnats. Those are the rawatib. That's more specific than nawafil. Nawafil means voluntary. It's plural. Plural for nafila.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
I have a question regarding the Sunnah of Fajr.
Yes.
Can one pray after praying the third prayer if he doesn't have enough time to pray it before?
Can he pray after he prays the Fajr prayer? Yeah, he can. Because it's going to be a makeup, though. Because its time, its reason is already confirmed. Its reason is already confirmed. The rule is you can pray a prayer in the prohibited time if its reason is confirmed or current. As long as you didn't stall for that reason. As long as you didn't stall just so that you can pray in the prohibited time. If you didn't stall just to pray in the prohibited time, then you can make up the sunnah of Fajr after Fajr. Ameen wa fi. You said, I kind of missed the time you said you found most of your supplications were answered. When was it? In the last third of the night. Yani, the dua at that time is practically guaranteed. If you make dua at that time, you probably will get what you ask for. Ameen wa fiq. Ameen wa fiq. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك